Hi guys, welcome back for another video. I'm Jess and I'm one of the creative designers here at Sigam-nos. Today we are thinking about Halloween, spooky season, but to be fair, we could make this for any kind of season particularly. But I'm going to show you guys how to make this really cute little treat box. I'm going to show you all of the steps to make that treat box using our brand new scoreboard and trimmer, how they slide into each other, the outing and the inside. And obviously you can fill it with all the good little treats in there. And then I'm also going to show you guys how to decorate it using some of our brand new liquid gloss, as well as some of our metallic shrink plastic, using some of our chapter 3 spooky icons dies. So we're going to run through it step by step, all the different techniques, and yeah, let's get started. Okay, so I've got my scoreboard and trimmer out, and what you want is you want a colour for your outer box and your colour for your inner box, so whatever colours you want. And I'm going to focus on the kind of outside first and then go on to the inside. The outside is really, really simple. You just want a front, a back and two sides basically, and then we're going to have a tab so it overlaps. So think about how wide you want your box, and then I've just done two little lines to gather how wide my box is going to be, and then decide how thick you want your box to be. So I've just done a little line here as well to determine how thick I want my box. So we've got a front, one side, another side, a back and a tab. So that's how we're going to do it, and we're going to score across all these lines, and then we're going to piece it together with some hot glue. And then once you've got all of your lines scored using our fold and form tool, we're just going to fold across all of those lines, and you'll see your flat box kind of start to come to life. So you can see now, once we overlap those, so we've got a tab to overlap on the side, you've got your front, your two sides and your back. I'm just going to secure that with some hot glue. Okay, so once we have our outside box, I'm going to pop that to one side and then think about the inside. So bear in mind, this is going to be slightly wider and larger than our inside box, so it slots in nicely, okay? So when we think about our centerpiece, we're going to do it ever so slightly smaller, and then we're going to think about our outsides. So to make it a little easier, I've already mapped everything out with a pencil. So I've taken my box and I've kind of drawn around it, but I've made it ever so slightly smaller so it slots inside. And then I've thought about my side. So I've got one side, another side, and then another side. And then I've got extra little tabs on each side because they're going to fold inside, okay? So you can see how I've scribbled here. Those are going to be cut off. We don't need these little bits. Where I've done my darker lines, that's where we're going to cut. So we're going to cut using our scoreboard and trimmer, sorry. And then where you've got the lighter lines, we're going to just score along those so we can fold. So I'm going to do all that now. So the more you play around with these boxes and making them up, you'll kind of figure out how to make 2D nets into kind of 3D boxes, how you'll map everything out on your flat net, on your cardstock, and then piece it all together with your scoring lines and make it 3D. So just by cutting along all those cut lines that we made and the scoring lines, you can see already how it's starting to kind of come to life, and you can see how things are supposed to fold inwards. So if we just fold all along these lines, And already you'll be able to see how it goes from your flat 2D net to a 3D box. So those little tabs, we're just going to place hot glue on there, and then we will put those inside that flap and then fold them down. And then on the other side, we'll do the same. So you can already see how, just by folding along those lines, I haven't secured anything with any glue yet, but you can see how the box is starting to come to shape. So I'm going to secure those all with glue, and then we're going to pop that to one side. Okay, so once you've glued it all together, you will have your box that slides perfectly inside of your little lid. Look how well they go together, and you can alter them as you go with like the scoring lines, make sure everything fits, but it will get easier the more you do it, the more you play around with those nets and work out how you're transforming 2D into 3D. But how cool does that look? And we're going to fill it with all sorts of goodies, but first we are going to decorate it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the lid, because we're not decorating the inside bit, that's just going to be full with all our treats. I'm going to take some of our liquid gloss. Now this is relatively new, and we kind of use it mostly for adding like little dewdrops on crepe paper flowers, sculpting foam flowers, things like that. But I'm going to use it to create a spider web. Now you can draw this out roughly first if you want to, using a pencil. So really lightly if you wanted to. I'm going to do my spider web in the kind of corner. You can draw it out and figure out where you want it to be if you're a little bit cautious, but I'm just going to go straight for it, and then I'm going to draw straight from the nozzle basically. So I'm just going to make sure it's coming out. There we go. And then I'm going to draw really carefully using the nozzle of the liquid gloss. So just take your time and just use it almost like a pencil itself. So we're just gonna, you can go over the lines if you want to as well. And this is gonna dry fully clear when we're finished, but it's still gonna keep that 3D element. And there we go. Once you've all done, it should look something like that. Don't worry if it's a little bit higgledy-piggledy, if you're not the best drawer. Spider webs are never perfect, so don't worry about it. But that's how it's going to look. So it's going to look kind of white, and it's going to be wet to the touch. So just pop it to one side to dry. And I've got one that is fully dry. So at least a couple of hours, just go back and check it. But this is fully dry, and you can see how it's kept its kind of 3D form, but it is gone nice and glossy and kind of like a see-through. So it looks perfect for a spider web. So that is going to be our kind of background, and we're going to work on top of that. So now I'm going to use some of our shrink plastic. Now this is our brand new metallic shrink plastic. So I've got the silver and the rose gold here, and I did have the gold. Here we go. I knew I had it somewhere. So it comes in 3 colours, and it's just like our regular shrink plastic, except it is metallic. It has this gorgeous kind of glittery finish, but it comes in these 3 colourways. So we currently have our regular shrink plastic, a printable, we have a black and a white version, and now we have our metallics. So I'm going to decorate the front of our treat box using some of these bits. So I'm going to die cut. Well, I've actually already die cut some bits using our trusty Big Shot, and I've been using the die set, which I have misplaced. I knew it was here somewhere. So this is the Spooky Icons die from chapter 3. You've got some really nice Halloween shapes in there, kind of spooky shapes. A little bit more kind of a modern twist as well. So I'm going to take some of those. I'm going to take the bats, the skulls, and maybe even a little hat to pop on one of the skulls. And I'm going to cut those, well, pre-cut those, like I said, with the glitter or the metallic kind of gold shrink plastic. So I'm going to take that and shrink it down. So you can see the skull shape there. And I've even got the little hat. And you just want to place that on your silicone mat. And then we are going to take our shrink plastic grid over the top. And then I'm going to apply heat. So you can apply heat through this grid, and then it's going to shrink up and then flatten down, and then we're going to press it down with our silicone tool as well, which I also have somewhere. And I'm going to do this bit as well. Okay, so we can see how easy that was to achieve. So by using that grid, it keeps it from kind of shrinking up in on itself and getting all tangled. And then we use the silicone tool to just press it down, and that makes it really nice and flat. And you can see that kind of gorgeous sparkly finish on there. So it has like a really nice kind of slight sparkle. And that's kind of the side that you want to have it facing upwards. The other side is a little bit more shiny, kind of a little bit more glossy, but not quite as sparkly. So we're going to have it on this side. Now, I've also done some little bats, and I'm going to shrink these down, and I'm going to flatten them, but while they're still hot, I'm going to like not super hot, it means you can still touch them. So just give it a couple of seconds, and then we're going to kind of position it in our hands to give it a little bit of a 3D effect. So I'm going to do that with these little bats as well. So I've cut these from the black shrink plastic. And there you go. You can see how just by, you don't have to fully flatten it down. You can take it while it's still warm and give it a little bit of shape, and that just gives it a little bit of a dimension to those bats, so they look like they're flying, which is fantastic. So also just something to reference when you are die cutting shrink plastic, it is a little thicker than obviously your regular cardstock, so you want to do it with kind of pretty basic shapes. Those bats are probably as detailed I would go when cutting shrink plastic, and you bear in mind that shrink plastic shrinks, so it shrinks by almost like, I think it's like up to double its size almost. So you kind of want to start with bigger shapes, and then they're going to shrink down to smaller shapes, but don't do anything super intricate with your shrink plastic, because it's going to lose that detail as it shrinks down. And it's not going to cut as perfectly as well. So just bear that in mind when you're working with your shrink plastic. But once you've got all your little bits, so I've got a couple of bats here. I've got a couple of skulls. So I've got my lovely gold glittery one, and then I've also got a little white one there as well. And then I've also pre-cut some letters. So I've just taken some letters from the Elegant Capital set from chapter 3 as well, and I've cut out the letters treat, or to spell the word treat, from some orange and grey cardstock, and they're going to sit along the side. So I'm going to stick these all down with a mixture of express glue for my die cut pieces, my cardstock pieces, and some hot glue for my shrink plastic pieces, just to make sure everything is secure and in place. You've got everything secure with your express glue or your hot glue gun. Everything should be all perfectly placed, and you can even glue over the top of your liquid gloss spider web as well. We're going to fill our little box with treats and then slot it in and then close it up, and you have your little treat box. How adorable is that? Let me move this out the way. So super cute, isn't it? And you can just pop it up and you have your treats all inside probably fill it with more treats than what I've done, but how cute would that be on a table setting for a Halloween party? Maybe as little gift boxes or gift bags for trick-or-treaters or something like that. But really, really sweet, and there's loads of really fun techniques in there, from making the box completely yourself, from popping the little spider web on there, and then even the little shrink plastic kind of accents with that gorgeous metallic shrink plastic. So that is everything I think I have to show you. If you do recreate this, then please share an image with me below in the comments or across any of our socials. We love to see it here at Sizzix, what you guys are creating, what you guys are up to, and share it with us so we can see it and we can share it. And if you do recreate anything that I've shown you today, any of the techniques or even any Halloween spooky makes, then yeah, we'd love to see it. That is everything from me today, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you in the next one, but until then, stay safe and keep crafting. Thanks, bye.